Welcome to Universal Accounting Center's Building a Successful Accounting Service with your accounting instructor, Alan Bostrom. In Session 2, Fast Track Your Startup, you'll learn why many accounting businesses fail and what you can do to avoid being one of them. You'll also understand what you need to do first and what types of equipment and software to invest in. Finally, this session will advise you of how to make your business grow financially. And now here's Alan.
Let's start out by talking about the frame of mind that you need to be in. There's about, in the United States, 1,000 new businesses started every month for every 1 million population. Okay? Every month. Now, for instance, we live presently in an area that's got 1 million population. And we have actually confirmed that in this area, there are over 1,000 new businesses started every 30 days. Okay? Now, how many of those businesses are going to need accounting?
All of them.
All of them. Every single one of them. Now, they might choose to do it themselves, correct? And normally, they're not going to do a very good job of it. I will tell you that. Business owners have been surveyed. They've been asked, what is the one area of your business that you feel least capable of doing? And it's not the production, it's not the marketing, it's the accounting that drives them crazy. Okay? Oftentimes, they just started the business with no experience in accounting, no background in probably even marketing, but they started it because they knew how to do something. They thought they wanted to be out on their own, so they started doing it. And then they figured out, well, now I got to have customers, so they figured out how to go out and get customers. If they didn't do that, they wouldn't be successful very long. And then they start figuring out, well, I need to understand my financial situation. And I need to understand what works financially and what doesn't work financially. And so every one of them eventually will come to a realization that they've got to have accounting. And oftentimes they will ask their spouse to do it, or a friend to do it, or a neighbor to do it, or somebody. And that's where you need to be, is at that moment available, okay? Now there's different ways to do that. And that's what we're going to talk about, how to get in the right place at the right time. And when we start talking about marketing in a little bit, that's when we're going to get into that process, okay? So 1,000 new businesses starting up for every million population throughout the United States. Secondly, accounting is essential. We recognize that. You got to have accounting in order to be successful. A lot of businesses out there can be very successful at marketing, can be very successful at production, but if they don't know where financially they are, they're likely not to be very successful, period, okay? And eventually going to be regretting that. Also, one thing I found is that business owners are becoming more sophisticated. They're starting to recognize more and more the value of accounting. So whereas years ago, they just more or less looked at their bank book and tried to figure out, am I doing well or am I doing poorly by their bank balance, today they're recognizing with competitive factors they have to grant credit. Oftentimes they can't just do a cash and carry business. They need to keep track of their bills. They need to watch that closely. They need to take care of payment terms, and that's where they come into you. So they need it. They're recognizing it. They're starting to use that. Secondly, or thirdly, or fourthly, you can compete very favorably at $50 to versus $150 that other accountants are charging. So $50 an hour makes you very competitive out there in the accounting world. But the most important thing I want you to understand is that you have the ability to do it where a lot don't, okay? For instance, in the last few weeks, you have done 9 different practice sets. You have done books for 9 different companies. Recognize that that is 8 more companies than the people that have got their 4-year or 6-year degree in accounting, okay? In fact, that's 9 more companies than even some of those because they've even taken out that practice set. You have the experience and exposure to do that, and there is no reason why you should not, or you should feel in any way inadequate when compared to the types of work and the types of studies that they've done.